Hi,
Hi.
Laurie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Great to see you.
I'm so happy to see you.
Well,
I need you.
well, I am here for you 100%. So excited to hear about where you've been since we kind of left off with the course and how it's been to kind of begin to manage this and keep learning. I'm so excited for anyone who's listening. Laurie just took our foundation course that we did in the spring, and we had such an incredible group of people who went through this class with you, and really powerful aha moments and realizations about life in general. But I think, just share a little bit of your background, if you don't mind. I mean, because I think it's so
Yeah,
interesting that
yeah,
you
yeah,
are
yeah.
not
Um,
our classic dieter.
yeah, no. Let's see. I'm a New Yorker at heart. I'm now in New Jersey, originally from California, and I had a career on Broadway for a very long time. And then I became a real estate agent. And I basically have been sort of lucky with weight and with everything kind of my whole life, and always had to keep it in check with Broadway. It was always like, oh, we have to look a certain way and be a certain way and do all the right things. And I had little struggles, like there would be hormonal stuff or times when it would be tough, but most of the time I sort of stayed a certain way. And then I hit like 40, I don't know, like 43-ish. And my body just started to change. I started to gain weight. It just wasn't as easy anymore. Things looked different, felt different. And I have never really tried a diet before. I've tried like fasting. So that's a diet, but like casually, like, oh, I'm just going to try and fast and see how that goes. And I feel really good when I do that. But I wasn't losing any weight, and I wasn't seeing any results. So basically what happened is I gained like almost 40 pounds more than I normally weigh. And I was like, oh, wow, I need to change something. And I'm not going to go on like a crash, do something and not eat sugar or not drink wine ever, or not like there's going to be I'm a more is more. I want immediate gratification. I want to win. I want prizes. I want food, and I love food. I'm a foodie. So I wasn't going to be on any standard diet. So when my friend Anne talked to me about this and I heard about it, I was like, it sounds perfect. I signed up immediately, like the thing. And then it just has been incredible. It's been such an awareness for me. Like the whole thing has been about attention and awareness and a lifelong shift, instead of just crashing and doing something for a little while and then feeling bad about it and that whole thing. So those patterns have shifted for me.
Fantastic. I
Not
love
in a perfect way, like it's ongoing, like we talk about. I get a C a lot of days, but it's like, yeah.
But you had a lot of success in this shift.
So much weight being one of them. Yes, I lost 10 pounds, but mainly it's that I feel different and I'm looking at everything differently. And there's the thing I was writing down before we talked. I was like, the attention that I'm paying to myself, to self-care, and then looking at what it all equals up to and how that feels and how my body feels when I do things. Not that I always follow that or that I ever always listen to that, but it's so much greater than it was, that even when I'm off and I'm in summer mode and I'm swimming and I have company and like all those things are happening, I can somehow have some sort of baseline that is a through line through the whole story, as opposed to just dropping everything and going off the reservation and then coming back, and which I think is what most people do, and probably what I would do if I was on a traditional diet. I would be like on, off, on, off, on, off, on, like it's like a light switch.
Yes.
As
Yes.
opposed to the switch is always on now. It's just like I can tap into the toolkit and get things I need and check back in, or I can just avoid it for weeks and see what happens. But then it's not like jumping back into some huge thing that I was out of. It's like I was always there. It's different.
Yeah. I love that, this idea of a baseline, right? Like that in the foundation course, we really do lay this foundation
Yeah.
that becomes your baseline, and we start building habits and behaviors that once they become your normal way of being, you do them just naturally. You just are now drinking the water, or you are now taking more steps, or you are now sleeping better. So your baseline is better than it was. So that even if you're not deeply jumping into the toolkit, and I really am enjoying your metaphors here, because having done this for so long, that's it for me, is like, I mainly maintain my weight. And then there are moments in the year where if I'm vacationing a lot and I'm traveling a lot and I want to be trying things, and I may see that, 5, 7 pound pop up for myself. And
No question.
I don't feel like I was off track. I was still drinking my water and walking and exercising. But I was eating and enjoying alcohol, probably is always the one for me, in a way that just makes me gain about a half a pound a week.
More.
Yeah, it's just a half a pound. And then when I'm ready to kind of dig a little deeper into that toolkit, I say, you know what, I'm going to, begin to plan my meals a little bit more and not be so ad hoc. I am going to begin to add that extra day of exercise, and I'm going to go deeper in, because now I want to reverse the little bit of fluctuation that I've had. So I really like this analogy.
I totally agree with you. And it's like, I had some family drama, divorce, like all this stuff my brother is going through. And they were all here for like a week and a half crash course at my house, like, here. And it was like late barbecues, drinking all the time, drama. It was, and funny enough, I get on this because I didn't weigh myself for 2 weeks. Of course, like, why would I, And I get on the scale and I've lost 2 pounds. And I was like,
How did you?
but then I realized it's probably because I haven't been exercising, and I do strength training. I've been doing so I started doing strength training. So I was like, oh my God, I maybe somehow, just because, muscle is heavier, right?
Mhm.
Maybe I've kind of lost a little muscle or something, and that sort of evened me out. And then of course, like when I started kicking it back in, I gained 4 pounds. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
Ebb and flow, not judging the scale, but like, knowing, like, the first thing you said was the toolkit. I'm actually using your words, because it's like the toolkit, and it's the thing of like, just today, I was like, the new app, I'm getting my saved foods in there. I'm going to start doing it again, because I know that if I put the steps in place and even focus on 1 or 2 of them at a time, it's going to work for me.
Yeah.
Like, I know it is, you know what I mean? Because it did, and it proves itself over and over again. And
Yeah.
that's even the thing about alcohol. You're like, know your alcohol. You're like, I figured out this is how many drinks I could have a week and still lose weight. And so I'm still figuring that out, because like right now I'm not losing weight, but I'm sustaining.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, if I want to start losing again, what do I have to do? So I have to be pretty diehard with 3 of the foundational, like maybe the water, the sleep, and the food tracking, or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I got to focus on that. And then I got to look at the drinks and just try it and go, okay, so if I do 6, can I lose a pound a week? If I do 4, can I lose a pound? And what does it mean to me? And what is the trade-off and all that? So
There you go. I love it. I love it.
yeah,
That's it. Is
yeah,
each of these little pillars becomes a lever, and you go, okay, well, if I increase the walking, and I decrease the stress, and I increase the sleep, how does that affect me, and how do I feel?
yeah.
It is the big news, everyone who's listening. We do have a new Target 100 app in the App Store on Apple, iOS, and Android is coming. And it is an incredible tool where you can track your 6 pillars all in
Unreal.
one place. You can hook devices up to it. It's got an incredible community there for you. So please, it's free. If you're a lover of Target 100, go and get your app. And it's igniting everyone, right? Because that's the other thing about, all of this is ebb and flow. Everything in our lives ebbs and flows. But for some people, they got stuck in the diet mentality that very all or nothing, or on or off. And once we decrease that, what we can see happen, like is happened for you, which is drop a good amount of weight, which is 10 pounds is a lot. You lost a third of what you're trying to lose, right?
That's right. That's
That's
right.
incredible. And then maybe there are these seasons or these times in our lives where it's not really, I lost my father a little over a month ago. It has not been like weight loss focused for me. I'm focused on family and those things, and that's okay. But what I want to have happen is during those times where weight loss isn't the focus, I'm maintaining the weight that I have lost. I'm not regaining. So this is really exciting when I hear you tell me that really I've stayed in this area. And then as we pull into, I often see, different seasons for different people. As I
Absolutely.
pull into the fall, it's like back to school. And I'm like, all of a sudden I'm all organized and I'm making these fall meals that I love that, like, and it's great. So
I'm agreeing with you. The fall, it's so funny too. Like, so I lost 10, I have 20 more to go is my goal, right?
mhm,
But it's not a goal for like 2 weeks from now or 6 weeks from now or 2 months from now. It's like a lifetime kind of thing where I know there's a block where I'm going to really focus on that next 5 or 10 and
yeah,
then keep doing that in blocks,
mhm,
so like, okay, I'm thinking the fall, like right now is probably not a time I'm going to actually lose weight just because it's swimming and barbecuing and blah, 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 but if I can stay level here and maybe lose a few pounds, great. But then really kick into the app, kick into the things, kick into the, do all the tools, do everything I've learned. Then in the fall, I'm thinking, okay, that'll be like a 3-month period where I focus on this next 10 pounds. You know what I mean? And just process.
process. And that's the thing is like every other thing we've done in the past is if we weren't losing, then somehow we were broken and it was not working. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to teach, and we're having this great vernacular now where there's zero shame in holding steady, right? Like learning to plateau, learning to maintain your weight loss is way more important to me than teaching you how to lose weight. We've all lost weight in our lives. We know we can get that piece we can do. It was always, could we maintain? So what you're practicing right now is maintenance. Whereas in the past, people like to talk about it as a plateau, and a
Yeah.
plateau is bad. And I wrote this in the very first book I ever wrote in Weight Watchers. It's like a plateau is a behavior.
Yeah.
From everything that I see, it's very, very rarely physiological.
Yeah.
It's mostly emotional and psychological, or based out of that desire to say, like, I want to live my summer life. I'm proud of myself. I've lost 10 pounds. I'm going to hold it there. I'm going to find out what I can do to maintain and sustain. And then when I'm ready, I go back in and I dig a little deeper into the toolkit. That kind of language has never existed.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I have friends who have been on many, 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 many diets, as I know you have, and the people that you love have. And I was talking to someone, actually, Ann and I were talking to someone she was at this lake crawl with me where we were boozle magoozle. And, I was talking to a dear friend of mine who has been on a million crash diets, and she was saying it's just not like the bars and the food they give you to eat and the things that don't taste good, and you can't have this and you can't. No one's ever going to do that. You can do that for a week or 2 weeks, but no one's ever going to sustain that kind of lifestyle because we're we don't know how long we've got. Like, we're pleasure seekers. Like, we need to live. And so we were talking to her about Target. I was like, it's not yes, I've lost weight, and yes, I feel, and look different and feel better and all the things, but mostly I feel like, oh, I feel confident.
Mm.
Mostly I feel confident because of the habits and the attention that I'm paying to my self-care and to myself, that I can make a change when I choose to,
Yes.
and that I have the skills to do so.
Yeah.
And that is like confidence in all walks of my life. You know what I mean? Like going, oh, I made these habits, so then I can make these habits here. That whole idea is so profound, I think, and so not how normal diets treat weight loss or anything, so
And I think it scares people, to be honest. They're
terrifying.
just, I mean, I've had people say, I'm gonna, like before, people used to say, oh, I just wanted to lose a little weight before I came back to Weight Watchers.
I know, I know. Hey, I didn't want to go on the scale for 2 weeks because I was drinking.
But what does that mean? That, like, that we, right, that's the only bar of success, and that that's the only way that we can talk about this. Whereas what I'm hearing from you is that there's so much in here about being in control in a way that we never felt we were, and about adulting ourselves and saying, you know what, this is good the way it is. No one can tell me it isn't, and I'm doing this my way, I'm writing my own program. So I
Yeah,
love.
and with a guide, like I think the thing too, we were talking, it's my friend Jill, and we were talking and she was saying, but I need to be accountable. I need someone to check in with. And I was like, well, you have that. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I do feel like the sense of community, even though, there's times when I'm not doing it at all, I'm like not writing in, not doing anything. But then like suddenly it's like I just got a little check-in and it was like, what do you want to focus on this week? What are the things you could do? And I was like, I'm going to post pictures of what I'm eating. I need to do that again. Because I remember when I was doing it, how much more thoughtful I was about what was going on the plate. So it's just like that little awareness. And again, like you said this in the beginning, like you have the tool, it's a belt, and you're like, okay, what can I go back to dial this in,
I need to pull out. Yeah. So when we were getting ready, you said, I needed this call today. What were you thinking of in terms of the challenges that you're facing now? Because we all go through challenges as well.
I'm in a job change. So it's, oh my God. So of course, everything is all aspects of your life. So it's scheduling for me with my job. So I've now basically like a freelancer as opposed to being a W-2 like employee. My company shut down. So it's this whole other shift of like, I have to plan my time. I have to manage my time. I'm working from home. So it's a big change of like, the impetus to do that. So right now I'm like, it's summer. I don't really want to do that. But I know that if I just do these 2 hours a day and if I do the small things, I'll be able to relax as opposed to be anxiety ridden for the rest of the day because I didn't do the thing. You know what I mean? So it's following me in everywhere. So then of course I'm not doing any sort of like, food planning and my favorite thing is in the whole world that we do is the weekly. This is what I do this is my favorite. I have 1,000 copies. I do it because I just write like what I want for the week at the top. Like I'm focusing on 2 cups of coffee versus 4. I'm like little focuses each week. And then I do the day, like this is when I'm going to work out. No booze, no booze.
I love it. Love it. I love it.
So, but like that for me, if I take a little self-care 5 minutes in the morning and write this out, I do it. I'm like, I'm going to have tuna toast. That's going to be the carb thing. I write out what I'm eating, when I'm exercising and when I'm having a break and that kind of thing. And the organization of just that gets me like, I'm cool. So the same thing with work. So the struggle right now is scheduling, organization, and having it all come together.
Yeah. Well,
Meal
and
planning, Yeah.
right. It's so exciting when I hear, if you've gone through the foundation course and you understand habit formation so keenly now and how it works and why it works and how we teach it. And I keep thinking like whenever there's a shift, especially like a job shift, like the one you're talking about, it's so important to take the time to create habits.
I know.
To create an actual habitual pattern. It's so funny. I didn't feel like working out this morning, and it was like my feet wouldn't not go in. They wouldn't not go in the shoes. And I just headed out the door and I went to a kickboxing class, and I was like, my body knows better than my brain at this point
Yeah.
what to do, and just makes me do it even when I don't feel like it. So I want you to use that same habitual patterning in your new life, right?
Yeah.
And the only way, I mean, it's everything we teach you, and it's so important because your meals will come off of it, your exercise will come off of it, your sleep will come off of it. And I think everything we do here is about you and thinking about, when is it best for me to are you a morning person? Are you a nighttime person? Like what's your power time? I mean, I'm power time.
I've become a morning person, but this is funny. I have a real problem. My husband is an actor.
Yes.
And I have we're on opposite schedules, and I have a real issue with like, kind of still wanting to be, I used to be an actor, a free spirit, and not setting my morning time wake up and all that. Like, I just kind of go like, well, loosely it's 7:30, but if I don't wake up and I want to sleep, it's horrible for me. Like I need to just have a time and just do it. Like I don't need that. Like I don't need 9 hours of sleep like I used to when I was singing and using my body for my career, right?
Yeah,
Well, like this is the thing. Like I'm actually kind of optimum on like 7.5 is like I sleep a lot, by the way, but like 7.5 is like
that's
great
great.
for me. So like, why am I trying to push, like not set the alarm and not have a schedule so that I can feel free spirited and then basically have no inspiration and be totally, like, so that's what I was going to talk to you about. It's like, how do you like my real, yeah, like I need to work on setting schedules and habits like I do with this when I do it. You know what I mean? Because then I
Yes.
do it.
And it's the same skill. But you know what I love about listening to you is you're working it out. And I say this to everyone, this is why we coach, this is why we have a community, is we don't learn anything until we actually talk about it. So you may have been thinking about this in your head, but the actual verbalization is when we learn. We learn when we speak. We don't learn listening, we learn when we speak.
Huh.
And I heard you processing through like this almost this identity of like, I don't get up because that means I'm a free spirit. And I'm like, but how's that working out for you?
Good. Because guess what? I'm not a free spirit anymore. No, now I want like I said to my husband, I could use like a regimented, like rigid, like I would actually like that. Like
You looking forward to that.
this is when I grocery shop. This is when I clean the house. This is what like Wednesday cleanse day. I want
Taco
like
Tuesday, meatless
Friday
Monday.
Friday fun day.
So
I
you're actually craving some boundaries. And, I always say Target 100 teaches you that create some real structures that work for you. That's why I'm asking you questions about like, are you a morning person? Are you this? Are you that?
I'm a
Create
morning person.
boundaries, like I say this about my children, right? Like, they hate it when I say no to them, but when I say no to them, it's because usually what they want is like not going to be good for them. And it's not because I want to say no, I want to say yes all the time, but I say no to them because I love them, right? We say no to ourselves because we love ourselves, and we say no more of that. Like, you've been and thinking of my children right now, if they're just like sleeping and getting up whenever and like they're just sort of free spiriting, and I'm going like, it might be better for you to get up and like have a schedule, right? And so I love that you processed all the way through that. And
Yeah.
now you go like, okay, now I know I want it because I verbalized that I want it. Make it a B. It doesn't have to be perfect every day. And the way I think of it is just the way I think of like the food pillar of Target 100. I think of it in blocks, right? Like it's like, I
Like
just
that.
need a 2 hour block. I think you said 2 hours, right? That's a block in my day is my 2 hours of work
Yep.
that I need. And you need to be habitual about it. Like, I want you saying, it's from 11 to 2 or 11 to 1. And, basically I'm going to walk into my office and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to start a project, and I'm like going to do what I need to do for 2 hours, and I'm not leaving until I'm done. That's how I
Yep.
wrote my book. I tell everybody this story. Literally terrified, didn't know how to do it, didn't know how to write, just came up here every single day at 11 o'clock and just wrote. And if
Whatever came out, it didn't
ever
matter.
came out, I want you to kind of do the same thing. This block in your day, it can shift, but you need to be habituated about it. And I would go get my water and I would do this. And, if you watched me come up here for work, it's like this crazy pattern of like going and filling my big water mug, and then the lights I turn on and the way I do. I want you to make a little pattern for yourself that feels good. Play around with it. It's not stuck in stone. But and 2 hours can even sometimes get split if it has to, can be 1 and 1, right? But it
Yeah.
just needs you to kind of get a routine going. And it sounds like we're looking at a morning routine
Yes,
that
we are.
that would be powerful. And morning routines are just so, I mean, there are books and books and books written about having morning routines, right? So the morning miracle being one of them. So it's picking that, maybe pick off of when you go to bed at night.
Yep.
You pick what time you're getting up, 7.5 hours later or 8 hours later,
Yep.
right? So there's some flexibility there based out of what time you're going to bed.
Yep.
Then what's your schedule look like? What is your morning routine then?
Yeah. So I want it to be It's starting to be. I love like my coffee and look at the lake and do this little weekly, do my planner for the day. Like, this is what I'm eating. This is what I'm eating. A little bit of journaling, a little bit of like, I do a little bit of like inspirational reading sitch, like a little. And then I would like to be doing my lap around the lake. So it's 1 mile. So just get outside and do a lap.
Oh, nice.
That would be my best morning routine. And then come home and then do this 2-hour block.
Okay, great. So
Mhm.
it seems like we got to a certain place in the planner and then we stopped putting in the next level of things. So I want, because you're doing it and doing it so well, when you're doing that 5 minutes, I want you to put in the lap around the lake,
Yep.
right? That in there so you can check it off, because there's nothing better than coming home and being like, done, check, done. And
It is.
then your little 2 hour, is
Yep.
there a shower that happens after the lake? Is there this? Is there that? And
Yep.
then when's lunch? Is this all gonna happen before you eat anything? Like,
Yeah, no, I think the lake and then I have like a small breakfast and then I do like a lunch, a full on, like a salad, tuna, whatever I have for lunch. So I think the lake walk, a little small yogurt thing that I do, and then the 2-hour work, I can have one more cup of coffee during that time. And then I say, yeah, then the 2-hour, then lunch.
right,
And then showings and stuff, right? So then it's just like more of a loosey-goosey schedule, but at least that 2-hour block of client calls and all that. And then I feel centered. I would love a 15-minute stretch situation after the lake would be great. That would feel good too. Maybe I'll throw that in there.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Right. And it's Monday. Okay. It's Monday. You've got all week to practice this, basically,
That's right.
like, um, and it's loose enough, right? It's not that you're getting up every single day at 7. Well,
No,
if you stay up till midnight, maybe you're getting up at 8,
at 8. Yeah. 8 is fine. Like, honestly, I can't make real estate calls till 10. Like, I'm
Right.
not going to make calls till 10. Yeah.
So it's, that's a little loosey goosey. Then it's just like, okay, but these other things, just like in those 5 minutes, put those things in as a reiteration of that those things are happening today,
Yep. Yep.
right? Because I think we do love to leave things off the table.
We
And
do.
then when we do, then they become negotiable. And
Yep.
we have a negotiator. We always say we have all these characters that live, right? We've got the mean girl, and she's constantly telling us what we do wrong. But then we've got this crazy negotiator that shows up. And I mean, you're in real estate, you have to negotiate. You know how it goes, right? It
Yes.
comes, everything's just this subtle, suggestive negotiation when it comes to these things that we don't make that commitment to.
Yeah.
And if they aren't habituated yet, it's even worse. So that's
Oh,
why we're working on this pattern for you. The other thing I want to say is I want it to be, um, I want it to be, uh, something that you're testing.
okay. I like it.
It's an experiment. This isn't for the rest of our lives. I think it's a really important piece of how we make change, and is to go into it with curiosity.
My
I'm
favorite thing you say.
curious.
That's my favorite thing you say.
Yeah, right. I'm curious to see what it would feel like for me to get up at 7:30 or 8 each morning and do this for the next 4 days, right? Let me see what that feels like. That's the other big teaching of like taking, especially when it's like food and weight and exercise and structure related, to take the pressure down a notch. It's very scary for people, right? To say like, I need to do this. And it makes, and the diet mentality that we learned is like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it perfectly. And I'm going to do it every day. And I'm never going to quit. And I'm going to start tomorrow. Right.
Of
Like,
course.
and
I
it's,
did that yesterday. I'm starting tomorrow.
yeah,
Always tomorrow.
yeah,
And it's insane because it's like, just do some steps today and then it'll be like developed tomorrow. But yeah, it's challenging.
it's
And I'm an all or nothing kind of type of person. So
Mhm.
I'm either on like a really regimented schedule or I'm just doing whatever I want all the time and feeling stressed out because I'm not doing the things I should be doing, you know?
So interesting, right? The all or nothing piece. And people, most people that I work with, and have been in this world in any way, shape, or form are all or nothing sort of people, right? And like you said, it's sort of this thing of like, well, I'm going to take a break, right? When we're in the nothing phase, and certainly in weight loss, we go into that where we're like, I'm going to just blow this off for a while. I'm not going to pay attention. I'm not going to. I can do whatever I want, and we believe that we're getting something. We believe that we're getting something positive. Our intention is positive. We say we want freedom, or we want, to be able to not think about this for a while, is what I hear from people.
Have
And
more fun.
yeah, have more fun. And I think that's that punishing mindset yet again, which really honestly, when you're doing all of that, you don't feel well, right? You don't feel as good. You don't have as much energy. You're constantly thinking about, oh God, I don't, I'm not thinking about this, and that there are
Well,
going to be.
and always, by the way, carrying the stress of that you have to get back to it.
Yes.
So it's not like it's not stressful that you have to get back to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
the
it's
mountain's going to be harder to climb because you've been away from it longer.
exactly. And so the mountain gets bigger, the perspective gets worse. And then we just say, okay, well, I'm not going back there for a while.
Yeah.
And we have this worksheet at Target 100 that I called the 24/7 of it all.
Oh, I think I've seen that one. I haven't
Yeah,
printed.
I think
Yeah.
this would be really good, because I think we do tend to demonize our own self-care and wellness, that
Yeah.
it's some sort of task, and it's some sort of thing that makes our life less fun.
Yep.
But like that's a brain chemistry thing. That's a negative talk. That's basically a stressful negative talk
Yep.
around this that we've picked up. It's learned thinking, because when I'm doing this, when I'm drinking my water, and when I'm sleeping well, when I'm, managing my alcohol intake, I'm like such a happier person.
Yeah.
Happier all day. 20 That's why it's called the 24/7 of it all, because
I love
there
that.
might be a couple of moments where I have a negative thought about this, of like, oh, I don't want to drink that water, and I don't want to say no to that glass of wine. Those are fleeting moments, but
Yeah.
in the 24/7 of my day, I
Yeah.
have energy and positive thinking, and like those one little tiny moment that we feel sorry for ourselves, or I call them the proms, the poor little old me's,
Yep.
when we have the plums about how we have to take care of ourselves, and isn't this a horrible thing that we're
So
doing?
hard. It was so much easier when I just was like, whatever.
I think that's a false repetitive narrative that we all get stuck in. And once you can notice it and you can hear it, and you go, okay, so if you want a cookie, that's cool. Like, you can have a cookie, you don't have to go out of town for 2 weeks off the rails, right?
Yeah.
Like it's that. And I guess I'm saying all this in that, like, for you where you are in your life right now, I find it very exciting. When a change comes in our lives, it gives us an opportunity to build the habits the way we want to build them. No one's saying you have to be at the office at 10. No, you get to decide,
Entirely up to me.
right? How does my day feel its best? And what do I need to be my best and have the best time? Um,
You're
oh,
right. And there can either be excitement built into that idea or just like, oh God, fear and stress, and I don't want to do it and all that. You know what I mean? So it can be, yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And breaking it down, like, and just saying, like, I'm going to go into my office for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and I'm going to make 2 phone calls, just breaking the seal. And on Target 100 as well, is like, you know what, like I said, like, okay, I am going to have that cookie, and that's fine, but I'm not going to do the thing where I check out, and I'm going to just
Yeah.
like be present in this. And it sounds like you've been doing that. It's just staying in it, even when it's at a different level, right, than it may have been for a few weeks. It's just in a different space, but we're not judging that, because the
Yeah.
minute we start judging it, and judging ourselves, then we get into that old spiral of guilt and shame, and I'm not doing enough.
And it's funny, I don't think that I do that, but what you're saying, I absolutely do. So it's funny, like I didn't when you talk about judgment and stuff, I'm like, I don't really do that. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, I can't believe I ate that. But it's interesting. I do it in those other ways that you were talking about. It's a different kind of thing. It's a
Mhm.
different kind of judgment. It's a different kind of, excuse or whatever that is. It's like a different, yeah, I do it. I do it.
And we all have these little peccadillos, right? That
Yeah.
we pick up and we learn from somewhere. It's like, and I like that we're digging into your identity of like, wow, like I'm craving to do these things, but my identity, my old identity is still hanging around telling me I'm a free spirit and then I get something from this. But my new identity, this person I am, because now you're a real estate agent. Now you are, right? You have your own business, you're a freelancer. Like you are in a different space in life and you do identify yourself differently, and we talk a lot
Absolutely.
about it as we lose weight. That center most important piece is the deepest piece of how do I identify myself,
Yeah.
and what does that identity shedding of that old identity mean, and are we integrating with the new one, and what you believe. It sounds like you believe that as a real estate agent, I heard the word, I need to be organized and I need to be, kind of regimented, and I need to have a schedule and I need to know where things are. I can't really be successful as a free spirit as a real estate agent. It's a highly organized business that you're in,
Yes,
you
yes,
know?
it is. It is. It
So
is.
you're moving in that direction.
I am. And I think this has also made me look at like what I value, and we've talked and aligning that and all of that. Like, I think, like alcohol and food and things that seemingly make me feel good, the things that I go to feel good and get a rush and feel like I have won and I'm rewarding myself for the day. And I'm a big end of day, same, like I want to have my bottle of wine. I'm so excited. Like I've just been working so hard and I deserve this and all that kind of stuff. And I think there's really something to look at what that actually looks like and what that is, and finding other things that I can value, that I do value, and making them my reward. And the thing, like be spending time with my husband, reading a book. I love to read novels, like reading books, whatever that is, like finding alternative things that I value that I can create as a reward system for myself to feel those ways instead of those other things, and not that they're bad things, but like in excess they are.
Yeah, but also just listening to identify, like, that's been my go-to, but there are other things that, and a value system, right? It's so funny, like it's, so often we're talking so deeply on these calls. We're never talking about like counting carbs.
No,
Right. It's true that the weight loss piece for us is so much bigger than we give credit. It's about a shifting identity, you're a professional woman and you're ready to shed some weight and step into this career. I can see it on you. You're like, I want this, like, and I'm changing and I'm growing and I'm thinking about what I value. And so your identity, again, the older identity might have been like, I'm a free spirit, and we as actors, I was an actress, most of you guys know this, I was in musical theater. We have a lot of fun and we are free spirits for a very long period of time, but then our values change
yeah,
as we age, as we change careers. Our values change and we keep kind of trying to hold on to these old ones.
we do, absolutely. It's like,
But I think it's a great exercise for you to think about, right? What do I value? Right?
like the words that, I mean, it's crazy what comes up for me. Like, what do I actually about time management? I value
Mm.
time management. I value self-care, like taking a long having the products that I love in my shower so I can feel good when I'm things like that. Like those are things that I value. And of course, my family and my friends and my husband. But like, not just like eating with my husband, like actually like looking at him and swimming with him, or like having an activity, going to the gym. We go to the gym together now.
Hey.
Like, and it's like, I needed us to have like not like just a positive thing together, but like a thing that wasn't an action we could do together that was somewhere else other than our home, that wasn't TV, that wasn't eating, that wasn't, you know what I mean?
Making
And
food. Yeah.
I'm proud of us. There's times when I actually tear up, like when we're at Orange Theory and I'm on the treadmill and he's next to me and I actually tear up. Like I'm like, we're really making changes in our lives. Like this is powerful and we're doing it together. And not
Oh,
everything of course can be together, but it's powerful.
but it's so powerful, and I'm so
Yeah.
excited about this, right? Like I think it's incredible when we make those changes together. And David and I were the same. I mean, you're married to an actor, I'm married to an actor, was an actor, have a new career. It's a
Yeah.
very similar thing, is that we had to, and I encourage couples who are, feeling that way, is like, we found that like we were not a great influence on one another when it came to like alcohol and not eating well, that we could pull one another off course really
Yeah.
easily. And coming up again with a value system of like, okay, we really want to do more meditation. So we found this meditation center that we would go to at like 6 or 7 on a Friday night instead of drinking. And say, again, you just look at each other and go, look at us. I'm so proud of us. We're not staying, because now you understand habits, right? And you understand how they
Yeah.
are deeply embedded. If you've done something with your partner over and over and over again, there's deep comfort in doing it the same way over and over and over again. We used to pour a glass of wine while we were cooking dinner, and then
Same.
yeah,
I
and I was like,
gardening, same as you. I garden with my shovel.
garden. Yeah, and I was like, you know what if we just started to do kombucha or seltzer only when we're making dinner? And what it just it I remember being almost like physically angry the first few times we did it, because I was like, I want my pattern. I want my pattern. And the brain, when it's a food or an alcohol, wants it even more, because there's an actual, physiological serotonin drop that you get from it. So, if you can get through the change piece, and even thinking about you changing your job changing right now, and you don't want to go in the office. Just trust me, you're not going to want to go. I didn't want to not drink during making dinner. Now I can't even imagine. We've done it so many times now where we don't do it anymore. And it started with just saying, let's not do that tonight. And let's see if we pour
And
kombucha.
like you just said, like, let's test this
Test
for a
it.
few days
Test
and
it.
see how it goes.
Yeah.
As
And
opposed to like, this is a new rule in my life for the rest of my life.
exactly. This is an
Because
experiment.
I also want absolutes, right? I want to like make everything like for the rest of my life.
Yeah. For the rest of my life. Yeah. No. So
For
I
the rest
think,
of my life, this is what I'm doing.
yeah, but with our partners, like there's, I hear a lot of people say like, oh, like it's so hard. And it is, right? Because everything that you do together becomes these little repertoire of your way of being. So when you can, I always say, identify a time frame or some, um, like for us, it was dinner time and making dinner, and we would then start having a glass of wine, and that would turn into 2 or 3 glasses of wine. Whereas now, many nights I don't have any, because I'm not doing it. I'm not getting started, so then I don't do it. Right. So that really has helped identifying those shifts.
Yep.
Or even time frames, like Friday evenings, like we felt like, that seems to just be like some sort of a gateway. And really what I was looking for on a Friday night was, I'm really exhausted and I'm really stressed out, and I really just want a reward. Like you were saying, I want something for me. I did a great job all week. Just want to check out a little bit. So again, like we found this place yesterday that we went for massages, like super cheap massage, like $60 for 60 minutes. And we got a massage yesterday like, or going to a yoga class at 5 or 6 o'clock on a Friday night has been like life changing for me. So identifying the times in a week that are difficult and seeing if you can figure out a different type of reward.
An alternative reward. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's really one of the skill sets we teach here, is right. Like is figuring out what is it was that you're actually looking for, first of all, right? So I was looking for escape. I've been working a long week. I looking for something to take the edge off. I find now a good long walk with my dog and my husband, and maybe one of these other alternative stress relieving things. And I don't think about it, right? Like I'm just like, I do this now. This is what I do. And then it becomes a piece. But big piece of the big piece that I need everyone listening here to know is the first couple of times you do it, it doesn't feel good. You will be angry like a petulant child. You will be stamping your little feet, thinking this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. But take away the all or nothing, the absolutes around it, test it, and see what you can come up with.
That's what I have to tell everyone. The first time that you sent me to the first sent, you didn't send me there, but the first time I went to a party and I had seltzer first, that whole thing. Oh, it was so hard. It was miserable.
hard.
Like, everyone, it's when I see anyone on TV, like if I watch a show and they're in Napa and they have a huge glass of wine, I'm getting a glass of wine. There's no question. Like if I see it, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Like no matter what time it is, you know?
Right? So you get triggered, right? We know
No.
this, it's a physiological trigger.
Well, it's like they're enjoying themselves. I'm going to as well, like that. Like, it's just
Right.
absolutely, And so, but the first time that you were like, just do a seltzer first, like walk
First,
in.
don't not drink. Yeah, don't not drink, just do a
No,
seltzer.
not, oh, that was not ever going to happen. So it's like, just go to the party, but like have a seltzer first and then have the glass of wine and then maybe a seltzer and then, like alternate or whatever. And it turned out that I remember that one party, I had like a glass of wine with dinner and then I went back to seltzer. So it was like one of those things where at first I was like, oh, and it was like lakeside, everyone had like stemmed glass, and I also had the seltzer in the stemmed glass, which is the big
Yeah.
trick.
That's the trick.
Put the seltzer in the stem, which I do here when I garden. I put my seltzer now in my stem glass and just carry it around, and because it's the feeling of the same
Yeah.
thing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's it. Yeah. So it's so wonderful to hear this. And you think, that's always my goal is like, how much joy can we still get in life, right? Like, let's not make this about the anti-joy. Let's figure out what we're really looking for, right?
What you actually really makes you feel good and happy, as opposed to, and maybe it is a glass of wine, but it's probably not 6.
Well, and it is also that we all want instant gratification and we all want self-medication and we all want, right? Like those things are natural. I think a lot of the tools that we're trying to teach you are, can we identify that, oh, you know what, that's total self-medication that I'm doing right now. And I can self-medicate with other things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be food. Or, you know what, this is instant gratification. What if I just delay this or walk away for a second? Like, because if we can do that, because just thinking about you now, if every time you garden for the rest of your life, you drink half or less of the Chardonnay that you did before, and if every party you're now drinking half the calories or less, right there you lose weight, right? So it's the behavior patterns.
Yeah.
So it's like, and we're doing that, not taking away. We can't take away. It won't work. It'll never work. Can I instead teach you management skills?
And the smaller amounts and the things like I look right now, I'm literally talking to you going like, after this, I'm going to have an iced coffee and I'm going to have my little treat that has less sugar. So but like, see, like I'm really excited about this teeny, and I put it in a teenier cup, my iced coffee. I still have it, but I have it like this big. And so it's like a quarter of a cup, it's not even like, and then I have these treats that are just delicious, like coconut treats that are like less, they're like just 8 carbs instead of 16 or whatever, so it's like, that's going to be my treat after this. And I'm so looking forward to it instead of some huge, a whole piece of pizza or a whole pie or a whole whatever,
Yeah. I had here a frozen moment there. I don't know if I'm frozen for you.
Oh, maybe, no, you're perfect.
Good. I was like, I'm freezing up. No, I just think this is wonderful. And I just hope you feel kind of prepared to kind of go forward with a little bit of a plan.
I love what we just talked about, see, this is what I mean. You're like life planner, not just food. I'm like, so I'm starting in the morning at 8 and I'm doing like, yes. And I'm going to test it. It's going to be a test period, not a forever rest of my life. I'm going to be curious about it. And that's what I'm going to do. And I want to print that 24/7 thing too.
Yeah. And tackle this as a wonderful opportunity to establish habits in a change period, right? So now if you spend the next few weeks in the the kind of space you've been in where you're sort of freewheeling,
Yeah.
that's going to be your set level. That's going to be your habit.
Yep.
So when you think about this test period, think it's very, very important that I test out and figure out what makes me feel my best so that it becomes my habit pattern. Like I said, this morning didn't want to exercise. So glad I did, but I just couldn't. It's like shaving a haircut 2 bits. I couldn't not do it.
I love
So yeah. So just you are in a very important moment of change. It's an opportunity.
Yep. I love that. Instead of feeling like bogged down by all the things I'm not doing and stressed out about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And say, I'm getting freedom though. See, I'm free. I'm free to eat what I want.
That's how free I am to have a schedule.
Yeah. Free ain't free. It never is.
No, the cost is
Never.
high. Yeah.
So, well, this is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing yourself and your story and your vulnerability. I know this
I
is going to
appreciate
really
you so
a lot
much.
of people.
This is you and this program, not even nutritional program, way of life has totally changed my life. Not even being, it has completely, as you said, it's not just about weight loss. It's not about all that. It is about how we value ourselves, self-love, how we pay attention to things in our lives in all ways. It's made me completely focus on so many other things that I value and care about and pay attention, not all the time, but so much more than I was.
Thank you.
Thank
Well, that's amazing. Amazing. Well, I will see you in our awesome community and on the new app. And yeah, I actually didn't end up taking any notes, but I saw you did. I was just so into the conversation.
I took a lot of notes.
Usually I do, but today I was just into it. So we'll have a beautiful afternoon, and I will send you a note. I want to know how you're doing with this new schedule that we created today.
Thank you. I so appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.